What's going on, everybody? You're watching the DIY Plumbers. Today's video is sponsored by Plumbers Crack Coffee. Go to plumberscrackcoffee.com and use code DIY10 to get 10% off your order. Today's video is all about how to solder a copper joint. For the tools that you're going to need, I'm going to work my way from my right to my left, which is your left and right, starting with the things that we do in order. So first off, you're going to want to get yourself a pack of some copper cutters. These are called close quarter copper cutters. This is by Milwaukee, but there's several different kinds that you can buy, some that you twist a wheel on, but we'll be using those today. Some form of sandpaper. This is what we refer to as like a water mesh or an open mesh sandpaper. It's nice and gritty, so it takes things off quickly. This is an interior wire brush, essentially to go inside of a copper fitting and sand down where your fingers can't fit into. A bigger version of it, just to show you that there are actually different sizes. This is a 3/4 inch brush, that's a half. This is a deburring tool, which I'll actually show in just a moment here. This is a brush for our flux right here. This is my personal favorite flux right here. It kind of keeps its shape in the middle of our really hot summers out here in Tucson, Arizona. A roll of solder, and I'll explain these in just a moment. This is a sparking kit that you can, well, when you can actually get it to go. So you can actually light your torch if your torch doesn't have a built-in sparker, which mine does. So utilizing all of that, now we're gonna come over to the actual project, what we're gonna be working on today. And essentially I'm just gonna work down these tools so I can show you how everything works. Let's start off with our copper cutters. We're going to grab a 1/2 inch copper cutter because this is 1/2 inch copper. And the way that it works, you can see that there's an arrow right here, and we're just gonna snap it into place and then twist it until we cut all the way through, just like that. So now we have a nice, fresh, clean edge. You always wanna try to make sure, if you can, you wanna make sure you have a clean edge to solder on. It'll help us out. Next, general rule of thumb when you're soldering anything is you always be thinking about shiny penny. You wanna make everything essentially a shiny penny. So this is copper. It's a little marred at the moment, but all we're gonna do is take our sandpaper. You can do it like this. And you can see it's starting to look kind of like a brand new penny. That's what we want. We want it to look nice and shiny because that's what the solder is gonna wanna adhere to. Clean pipe is happy pipe here, okay? Next, we do have a fitting that we need to make sure that we sand. So in this case, this is what's called a street 90, meaning it's got one female end and one male end. So I'm gonna sand down my male end here with my sandpaper. But the thing is I can't fit my finger. I can fit it like that, but if I put sandpaper over it, there's no way I'm getting down in there to actually adequately sand it. So I'm gonna grab my wire brush, and this has a direction to it. You can see it spirals down, which means it's gonna travel inwards as I twist to the right. So you want to try to follow the bristle direction. That way you don't run the brush here. And now you can see nice and shiny on the inside. That's what we're going for. Next, we have our deburring tool. This is really important when you're soldering any kind of copper. As water goes through a pipe, if it runs into any burrs, it's going to spiral. You may not see it, you may not even realize it, but as it spirals, it's going to cause oxidation, cause pinholes to happen because it's friction inside that pipe. It's going to rub things through. So anywhere you have a connection point, you want to deburr. Okay, same thing here, because this is where I'm going to go over. I want to make sure I get rid of anything that's going to cause friction. So now you have a sanded and deburred pipe and a fitting. Once we're done with that, the next part is we're going to use our flux. Be careful when you're getting this on your hands. If you get it on your hands, make sure you clean your hands really well and wipe them off. It is acidic, so it has the potential to not necessarily burn you, but it's gonna cause some pretty significant irritation. We're gonna take our flux and wipe it on the inside of that fitting. General rule of thumb, I like to try to get it all the way down to the bottom of the fitting. Same thing with where you're actually applying your flux to, the male part. You wanna go about the depth of wherever your fitting is going to get to, and ironically this is about the same depth, so that works out really great for us. Next, you're going to take your female and male fittings and you're going to slide them together And this is where you want to, you know, if you're, okay, I need to be at this direction. Okay, great. We're going to put it right there. Where a lot of our more novice plumbers, when they're training, the mistake that they make is, you know, they'll leave a big old huge glob of flux out here. And the problem is when you heat this up, it's going to pull the solder that direction. You want it to go inside and look really clean. You know, oftentimes when someone's paying for plumbing, they're paying for professional service, and so it needs to look like you know exactly what you're doing. And I guess in this case, we want to make sure we do. So you saw that I took my finger and I wiped the rim. I just basically wiped away the excess flux, because inside of here is where I want the flux to sit. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our solder before we heat anything up. You're going to notice right here, you may not be able to see it on that camera. We're going to try. It says 95.5. What that is, that's the separation of certain metals and chemicals inside of your roll of solder. It is not legal for potable water to be 50-50, and 95.5 is the maximum, or I guess minimum in some cases, amount that you can actually have. That's the biggest split you can have, 95.5. You then have 97.3, you'll have 99.1, and then you can have 100.0. 100.0 can be really difficult to solder with, and there's not really many applications that a lot of guys will use it. So 95.5 is my preferred. It's totally safe for drinking water. It's totally approved. I just like the way it solders. So this is my go-to. So if you're looking for solder, go for the OD 95.5. It's great stuff. Now we have our solder. We have our pipe. It's all sanded. It's been fluxed. Next, we're gonna have some fun. So when it comes to your torch, you don't want to go full blast. You don't want to overheat your pipe. You also don't want to go too little, because then you're going to get spots on where it like heating one spot for too long, and you get kind of just a bad solder joint. So where you want to be, you see it's got too much air in it. So, okay, so right about there, I want a nice clean flame that's not throwing, it's not throwing so much out. Like if I roll this up all the way, it's way too much. So you want to be right about there. It's a nice long flame. It's smooth. There's no craziness going on. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to hang. There we go. We're going to try to hang about an inch away from our pipe, and we're going to rotate all the way around. Now you can see what's happening here, because I'm sitting it upright. It's starting to turn this red. So I'm going to increase it just a little bit, because I need to create some separation between the tip of my nozzle and where it's going. So what I'm gonna do, here we go. I'm about an inch away, and I'm just gonna keep this thing moving all the way around. And you can see that pop that just happened. That's the flux heating up enough. Keep it moving. Always keep your flame moving. You don't wanna burn your copper, because if it burns, it's not gonna be good. Going underneath. Remember, heat rises, so if we heat from underneath, it's going to be pretty well. Next, I'm going to take my solder and I'm going to run it. While it's still hot, let's see if it goes. And then we're going to heat it from the back of the fitting, and to help it pull through. Okay. So, if you care about such things, you might want to wipe them down, not immediately after they're hot, but if you can get a clean wipe through, you might be able to actually have a nice looking solder joint. Okay. So the next thing that you can do, and this is just more on a professional level, you don't want to leave flux sitting on something such as skin. You also don't want to leave it on your pipes, because it is acidic. It'll cause it to calcify and rot through. So, I'm not calcify, oxidize. So I'm gonna wipe that through, kind of clean it off a little bit while it's still hot, not blazing hot, but while it's still in that ballpark. I'm just gonna take that fitting, wipe all the flux off of it, and now you're left with a solid joint all the way through. And actually, if you can look down right through the top of that, you're gonna see, let me get the shadow out. You can see there's a little bit of silver right there. So what that means is that we've actually pulled the solder all the way through the joint. This entire space is now filled with solder, so you have a really strong watertight joint. And that is essentially how you solder a joint. If you wait just a second, we're gonna cut, and I'm gonna show you what happens when you actually burn the copper and why it won't work. We have our new 90s setup. You can see right here, there's just a ton of flux that I've put in. Essentially what I'm recreating is what we see a lot of people do when they don't know exactly how to do it. And so what I'm gonna do is overheat this thing and then try to solder. It'll probably take, but it's gonna look ugly, and I'll show you why. Okay, first off, we can already see that this is not up to par. You definitely don't want to solder a joint like this. I have roasted that thing, and I will tell you, you saw the solder go in. Let's go ahead and see if we can clean it up a little bit. Yeah, so you can see, it's really ugly. You don't want to be doing that, because then you just get, it just doesn't, it looks like it was, well, it doesn't look good. Let's just say that. If you look through the top, you can actually see that you're not just burning the copper on the outside, you're actually burning down on the inside. That copper underneath this fitting is totally roasted. There's no seal coming through. So you have to control your temperature. When you're doing it, you have to control your flame so you don't roast your copper. If you roast your copper, you're never gonna get a good seal. So now you've seen the difference. Don't over torch copper. Control your flame, make sure it's shiny penny, clean it, make it look professional. Other than that, thank you for watching today's video. We appreciate you. Don't forget to go to Plumbers Crack Coffee, use code DIY10 at checkout for your discounts, and we'll catch you on the next one.